or mute it for now. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for all the confusion going on today. We were doing health tonight at 4:30, and we were doing belts at 4 o'clock, and then there were problems, technical problems, because the board was meeting, and sometimes it's a hard time connecting both us and the board used to, so. But right now, we're okay. So, we're going to start with check-in tonight, and so everybody gets back into the swing of things. And for those of you who may be new to the team, I'll start. My name is Donna Upnard, and I'm doing this fine. I'm retired in my position from school district of Lee County and NEA and FDA and a lot of other things. But I am retired, happily. No time constraints with me, not that we're getting started. I don't know who's missing. I have no elephant, and my expectation is help you get through your first evening of negotiation.
Do you want to turn to today?
Now, who's ready to start?
I got it wrong.
Okay.
Hi everyone, I'm Robert Dodig. I am good. My position in the district, remember this, Executive Director of Human Resources. I have no time constraints. Shannon Fletcher is missing. She's in the boardroom. They were doing the presentation. I have no elephants, and I would like to see us make progress done.
Hi, I'm Will Rothenberg. I'm doing all right. Director of Compensation and Labor Relations for the district. No time constraints. Missing on the district side seems to be noted. I don't notice any SPALC people missing there. No elephants. Expectation would be to make progress.
Good evening, my name is Heather Leonard, I'm the Director of Staff and Talent Management. I don't have any time constraints. Shannon Fletcher is missing. I don't have any elephants, and my expectations are to get off to a great start.
Good afternoon. My name is Amy Desmore, and I serve as a Chief Financial Officer of the school district. And I'm fine. No time constraints. Missing's been noted. No elephants, and my expectations is that we get off to a good start.
Hello everybody, I'm Jason Kurtz, and I'm doing amazing. I'm principal at Campfire Elementary School. No time constraints, no anything's been missing, no elephants, and get off to a great start.
Hi, my name is Candy Messenger. I'm doing fine. I am the Director of Food and Nutrition Services. I have no time constraints. Missing has been noted. No elephants, and my expectation is that we get off to a great start and continue moving forward.
Good afternoon, I'm John Floyd, I'm doing well, I'm Director of Transportation. I do not have any time constraints. I think we know that people are missing. I have no elephants, and I'd like to make some progress
My name is Cindy Hutchins. I'm the Director of Payroll, no time constraints, missing noted, no elephants, and get off to the start.
Good evening, my name is Barbara Cedino. I'm doing well. I'm the Assistant Director for Maintenance Services. I don't have any time constraints. Not aware of anybody else that's missing, other than those that I haven't already shared with the group. I don't have any elephants, and my expectation is for us to get off to a great start and to be successful at this meeting. Thank you.
Good afternoon, my name is Bonnie McFarland. I'm the Director of Insurance and Benefits. I'm doing okay. No time constraints for the duration of the meeting. Missing has been noted, no elephants, and expectation is to get off to a great start.
I'm Christine Trode, I'm a staff attorney here at the district. I don't have any time constraints other than I named at 7. Missing have been noted, I do not have any elephants, and my expectations are also to get off to a great start. My name is Suzanne Rivera, I'm doing fine. My position in the district is Assistant Director of Recruitment. I have no time constraints. Missing has been noted, no elephants, and my expectation is to get off to a great start.
My name is Jamie Brewer. I'm great. I'm the principal at Orange Elementary. I have no time constraints, no elephants, and my expectations would be to make progress. My name is Helen Martin. I am doing well, grateful to be here. I am the Assistant Director of Professional Development. I have no time constraints. The missing individual has been noted. I have no elephants, and expectations are to continue to learn the process.
My name is Robert Bolton. I'm doing great. I'm security specialist, no time constraint, no elephants, and expectation is making progress.
Good evening, my name is Arlene Sweeter. I'm doing well. I am a bus operator. Time constraints, at least by 7. Missing has been noted, no elephant, and my expectation is make progress.
My name is Tony Abrams. I'm a bookkeeper at Royal Farm Exceptional School. Our time constraint is 5 o'clock. No one on our side is missing. I have no elephants, and my expectation is to make progress.
My name is Penny Bennett, I'm a president of Printing Services. I'm doing well. My time constraint is 7 o'clock. No one on our side is missing. I have no elephants, so my expectations are to get off to a great start.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rafael Cruz. I'm doing wonderful. My position is having been a custodian for 17 years here. I'm in the Trophy House Elementary. No time constraint. Missing we noted. No elephants. Expectation is to make progress.
Good afternoon, my name is Ken Lees. I'm doing well. Technology support specialist at Marshall Heights Middle School. Do not have any time constraints. Missing has been noted, no elephants, and expectations are to get off to the start.
Good afternoon, my name is Vivian Hawkins. I'm doing well. I work at Sunshine Elementary School, been in the district 29 years, no time constraints, no missing, no elements, and the expectation is to get something with progress.
Hi, my name is bus operator on East. First Vice President of SPALC. I'm doing okay. No time constraint, relevant, expectation is, good. I'm Jamie Michael, I'm fine, well, I'm not fine, I'm kind of sad today because we lost our census support employee. It's COVID today, so it's been a little sad. I'm the president of support personnel, I have no time constraints, no one is missing. I do have elephants. My first elephant is it's been passed around the district that bus drivers would be getting a $4 an hour raise, and now they've included bus attendants that has nothing to do with Mr. Lloyd. But this is what is out there, and it's an elephant to us because there's expectations before we even started bargaining. It's very sad, it's upset people, it's bad enough right now with COVID, but for people to be upset because they think they're gonna get a significant raise, and we don't even know what the district is offering. My second, elephant is that we have a lot of upset bus drivers because RTM was not instituted the way that it was explained, and we now have supervisors that spend their entire days being payroll specialists. Instead of somebody, their route's not changing, but somebody is going in and changing times or spending their entire day looking at times when people clock out or clock in, and it's an issue. We have folks that are getting very upset, and the morale is low, on top of people passing away from COVID, because this was our second bus driver, we had another bus attendant, we had a paraprofessional, we had somebody from early childhood, and we had a food service worker. So this is all falling on support. Some of this is not your fault, some of this is the governor's fault. This is the way where it is, but it's been a tough year because we didn't lose very many people last year, and it's just been a tough year for them.
Good afternoon, I'm Elizabeth Peterson. I am doing well. I'm one of the directors of Island Coast FDA, and I'm the chief negotiator for SPALC. Time constraints, 7 o'clock. This thing has been noted. I do have an elephant as well, but my expectation is to make progress today. The elephant that I would like to discuss and put out there is last week's meeting. We were scheduled to meet at 4:30. And I received notification at 3:08 that there was a mandatory principal meeting. We were offended, we felt disrespected, and I believe I'm speaking on behalf of our whole bargaining unit, not just our team.
Okay.
My name is Amanda Jason. I'm doing well. My position currently in the district is ground assignment and improvement. I have no time constraints. I think everybody knows who is missing no elephants, and my expectation is to also continue to learn the process.
Those, Amanda started for the first bargaining herself. She's never had any training with recording or interface, so please be kind. Speak loudly and clearly, and she will get everything up as quickly as she can. Now, deal with elephants. Are these elephants going to prohibit you, either one of you, from moving forward and for our agenda tonight?
Well, let's go over my elephant.
Okay.
That's yours.
Okay, so first one you said getting the bus drivers and attendants, and the rumor they're getting a $4 per hour raise.
Well, it's not just a rumor, I have pictures of something that was put on, I'm sorry. Not just rumor, I have pictures of something that was put on the wall at the south compound and has gone across all of the compounds. I know I've heard it from other people higher up than Mr. Lloyd. So I'm not sure who's putting it out there, but this is a big elephant, and we need some big money to go with this big elephant.
So that particular elephant is going to keep you from.
Not tonight, no, not tonight, but it's out there in the pictures I have.
Not going to be resolved tonight, but it's still out there. Got it. How about number 2, upset bus drivers on the RTM? I couldn't write everything you said.
I know.
But I said not operating the way it was explained, morale low.
So I think we can talk about that in transportation labor management next week. We'll have all of the senior directors, and I'm not sure who else will be at that, but I think Ms. Hutchins needs to be there, and Melanie needs to be there, so. I mean, they're just frustrated that, you know, that their time is being changed day to day. Their RTM is a set RTM for what they bid on, but they're not, some of them aren't even getting what they bid on because they say when they come in the gate that they're clocking them out. Now, some compounds aren't doing that, some are doing it kind of like it should be. But my upset is, we assisted last year in getting 4 additional supervisors for transportation to assist in the office, and now these people have turned into payroll specialists. That's what they do all day, sit in front of the computer and look at people's RTMs and check them, and it just seems like there should be a program. If their RTM is in there and they're supposed to be done at 3, then they're done at 3. If the GPS says it's 3:02 or 2:58, then their RTM ends at 3 and it shouldn't be changed. So I think we need to discuss it further in transportation labor management.
All right, do you want to send an email to somebody asking for the additional people that you just said to attend next week so they can put it on their schedule and if they're available? Yeah, okay.
So is this something that they're on transportation?
That's what I'm saying.
But it's one of the other 3 people that I call it. Okay, the next, you also mentioned death due to COVID thing.
Yeah, today we had our 6th person who died at 9:33 this morning. Our 6th person died 3:33 this morning. This is the 6th support person, 2 bus drivers, food service person, somebody from early childhood, a paraprofessional. I don't remember. I'd have to go back and look who it is, but this is demoralizing to everybody that's working because they're scared to death. People are quitting transportation because they don't want to be on a bus with 60 kids. They're packing them, and these kids aren't wearing masks, and they're getting sick. I mean, it's, even if you open up all the windows, they still go by them, sit behind them, sit across from them, whatever. People are upset. I mean, they're having to work the closest with the kids.
All right, that's something that's kind of prohibited us from moving forward. I know it's terrible and with the governor, but I don't think it's something we could fix in this room, I wish we could.
I think the last element, definitely will keep us from bargaining, and I don't think anyone in this room is at fault for making that decision. And we have, given a letter to the superintendent and received a response to that.
Okay, great, thank you. So with that, we have completed check-in. Now, just a quick review of interest for those that have been away for a while. We did the check-in. Something we don't normally do in the office, but as you can see, we went through each one and decided if we can move on or not, or maybe a better place to put it. So we did that. Excellent job with that. And now we're ready to move on. Our next thing in interest phase would be to establish norms for how we're going to work for the remainder of our time together. And then we will go into decide we have several articles that are listed up on the agenda. And we'll start with, I guess, the first one and work our way down the articles. And with each article, we'll tell the story. Why are we talking about this particular article? Why is it brought to everybody's attention? Then when we finish with our story, and remember, when we tell stories, everybody can be involved. It's not just one person or 2 people talking, it's everyone. If you have something important to add to our story, please raise your hand and we'll call on you and you can add it to the story. Once we get the story out, then again, we'll do a we'll decide what our interests are for that will go with that story. Why, Is it morale, as we already mentioned in some of our elements? Is it retention and recruitment? What is the reason we're doing that? And what are we looking for when we come up with a solution to match those? Then we'll do some brainstorming with some ideas of how we can solve the problem. And then last but not least, we'll evaluate and decide which best fits our resolution. And then we will, after we decide that, then we'll move forward and we'll get all of this all done, then we'll work together to decide on the implementation. So that was very quick, but most of you have been through this before, so I don't want to waste a whole lot of time, since we got started late. And let's do Norm. And it's gonna write Norm up here because Norm is like stuff. Okay. Norm, stay.
Cell phone on silence.
Okay, Elizabeth?
You open to everyone's comment.
Okay. Okay. Here we go. Yes,
Respect for each other.
respect for each other. Penny, can I see your hand? That's what you were gonna say? Okay. Will?
Women's sidebars?
Sidebars? For those of you who don't know, sidebars are when people start discussing a topic or off to the side with other people. It happens all the time. Will?
I know another one we got in the past is maintain confidentiality.
Right. Remember, this is an open meeting and we're on YouTube live right now, so when he says confidentiality, that means we're not talking about specific people and mentioning names. Anything else? One.
The respect or trust the process.
Okay. Anything else? Remember, these will be posted every week, so if you find something along the way that you'd like to add to it, you can do that, it's not a problem. We can add at any point to our norm. So with that, we'll end our norm. And then hang it. All right, so we're going to open Article 6, which is working conditions. And what are we doing with that? With the story or? Will? Is it snapshot or story? Where? Oh, we're going to do snapshot?
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't do snapshot for the spell, sorry, I forgot that. All right, let's do a snapshot for Article 6. No, it's something different. Bear with me, everybody. start with Lori or Elizabeth?
Sure, can I start with a snapshot?
Yep, that's what, we start with a very brief, remember the snapshot is a very brief story.
Yep, and we have 4 different snapshots, somewhat different issues. So the first one is, parents covering daycare during their contractual hours at school.
Is the mic on?
It is on, yeah.
Testing.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna repeat that snapshot, and that was parents covering daycare during their contractual hours at school locations. The second snapshot, parents providing coverage, but also the liability that is tied to that coverage. Third snapshot, and this is a little bit broad, I understand, but lack of student discipline.
All right, we'll dig deeper when we get to the real story.
Yes. And the last snapshot is employees providing their own tools or spending their own money to be able to complete their district jobs and duties.
Okay, and what are our interests for looking at these particular issues?
Okay, so the paraprofessionals covering for daycare is a mixture of 2 different line items in the budget. So we have some paras that are being sent to cover daycare when they're not sending the people that work.
What's your interest, Jane?
Interest, equity,
Okay.
fairness, accountability for the district. And respect. And
Any other interests?
for that particular one.
There's interest, what's your interest?
Okay. Okay. All right, anything else for Article 6? Do you need any further information for Article 6?
Not that we know of at the moment, but we may discover something
Okay.
during the process.
All right, our next one, you can hang that one there. Oh, you have a couple? I'm sorry.
First one is uniforms relative to shoes.
Okay, that was one story.
Uniforms,
Unfortunately.
Did you say relative to shoes?
yes. I can talk about it. So everybody heard the shoes, right?
Yes.
Okay, the other is, not quite sure where it would fall, regarding, it is a working condition regarding CDLs, commercial driver's license.
Okay, anything to add to the CDL, what particular, is there a particular issue with CDL or just in general?
Well, I think it's involving, endorsements and maintenance. Is that correct, Carl? Okay. Yes.
Yeah. What do you mean, Mike? We'll get used to the microphone.
Combination of things, it's impacting morale, one. Number 2 is is there some type of money or, I guess, differential in pay if they have a CDL was something that came up on our end. And then the third thing would be, is there a way to restore perhaps, the time period that they can acquire the CDL and how does it compare what they currently make versus, what the outside market is paying for those employees? Those are some of the concerns.
Okay, we have morale over there in interest, so we'll just leave that on the inside first. Anything else for Article 6?
One minute, a clarifying question on the snapshot.
Real quick.
Thank you. Just wondering if you could help us understand the snapshot on the parent coverage for before after school programs, I think is how I understood it, how that can be within the working hours.
It's basically pulling apparel, like that, in almost to the end of the day, putting them in daycare coverage. So if I'm not going to this scenario. If they call and say, walkers can't pick up daycare, leave and go to their area. Well, they're taking parents and out and putting them into the daycare during the day. And they don't have days when the kids are going home, they're taking parents and putting them in daycare for coverage during that time. Now, I think it's a free base position, and you have to be certified under CPR, and you have to be certified, fingerprint, background check, whatever is going on there with DCF. So these parents that they're doing this to are not certified. They don't have these credentials.
Okay. All right, thanks, Vivian. When we get to the full story, we'll lay all that in. Anything else for Article 6? Yeah, one. I think this has to be affordability and manageability for some of what's been put up there.
Okay.
Anything else for Article 6? All right, assuming nothing else for that snapshot, the next snapshot will be Article 8, performance evaluation. Okay, Article 8, that was SPALC.
I think there was an interest in having some conversation around aligning some of the language in Article 8 between SPALC and TALC. And I know there has already been some discussion about trying to find a way to recognize employees who are highly effective versus effective. That's one of the limitations of the SPALC evaluation instrument. Is that it doesn't tell awesome employees when they're awesome. The other, I guess, part of the story was trying to get some of the language to align with the NEAT process and EAT, which is notice, evidence, assistance, time, which has become kind of the expectation for doing those performance evaluations.
Anything else in the story for that? Amanda did put an interest to align the language between SPALC and TALC. Any other interest?
interest for this?
So the story, do we need any other additional information for people?
Yeah, maybe a sample SPALC evaluation, just so that we all know what we're talking about.
Jamie?
They vary according to what they do. It's like transportation is different than paraprofessionals.
So we have an annual self-evaluation. Yeah.
So when we may need several of them because the one for transportation is really different than paraprofessionals.
Anything else? Gathering interest, story?
Oh, you want a story?
No, just a brief statement, not a whole story.
When, Mr. Rottenberg, when you say, when you say, the evaluation is already highly effective. And I know, during my evaluations, principals say, oh, I wish I could give you like above evaluation or, tested or some, I have interest in that. And I'm like, and they wanted me to bring that to the table, but is there other stipulations that's gonna be attached to that? When I say that, a lot of people don't get highly effective all the time. Could be, so I want to know more about that.
Okay, and I'm sure we'll find out a lot more about it when we get into the story.
Yeah.
Will, you want to say something?
Yeah, and I can just say, I think right now the evaluation instrument has satisfactory, unsatisfactory, and inconsistent, which again, I mean, it doesn't line up with the highly effective, needs improvement developing, unsatisfactory that the teacher evaluation has. So I think there was some interest in, again, being able to say, you're not just good, you stand out, you're doing an awesome job.
Okay.
And then just making sure that the contract language says, all the things that good administrators, already know and are already doing, so that everyone knows kind of what that process looks like.
Because I know the teachers, they have to be, it's different. They have to, just like that.
Right, we will cover all of that. This is just a brief summary of what we need to talk about. Anything else? All right. Our next one, which is always everybody's favorite, is compensation. All right, story for compensation.
Snapshot, right?
Yeah. That's our story, yeah.
We want to discuss adjustment to possibly the work schedule regarding an additional 30 minutes. And then there was an issue that Mr. Lloyd brought up that I'm coming probably not as able to articulate as he is regarding the folks in transportation.
And actually, I don't think it's just transportation, but I know our Department of Transportation, not all of our positions have gone to market rate. And that is a problem, for me particularly, but again, I know this is an issue in a few other departments. And we can get into the details of those positions and what it's doing to the department. But it has to do with getting some of these job descriptions up to market rate.
Okay, great. Anything else for compensation from everybody? Yeah.
For discussion, obviously, is longevity pay and degree supplements.
Okay, yeah.
About this.
Anything over here?
We want an increase for everyone that we represent. We want everyone to make a living wage and not have to work multiple jobs to pay their bills.
Okay, anything else to add for a brief score? All right, well, how about interest? What are our interests around compensation? Jamie?
Recruitment and retention of employees. And retention is a big one just as much as recruitment. Did everybody hear me?
Recruitment and retention of employees. And retention is just as important in this day as the recruitment is, because we're losing them. I can tell you last week we needed 93 pairs, 25 custodians. I didn't even look at this week. 7 safety people, 4 clinic assistants, they're leaving. They're leaving the district, and it's getting hard to recruit them with the pay that we're paying.
Okay, thank you. Anything else for interest, for recruitment, for compensation? Yeah.
Morale.
Okay, thank you. Want to pass it over to Arlie?
I have one on student achievement.
Okay. Anybody else making its way to Arlie? Penny?
Respect.
Okay. Respect. Yeah. Visibility, okay.
I just want to say that I'm the department, I'm with Mr. Lloyd and, also Elizabeth. I think everybody should get a raise, but I know in our department, we are suffering greatly. We're doing the impossible right now with getting all these kids to school and being as short as we are with, drivers. We're hurt, and something has to be done to make people, even want to come to that position. And the ones that we have, to make them want to stay. So,
Okay, so the interest we already have recruitment and retention, getting people to stay. Respect, manageability, morale,
thumbs up what you just said, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Anybody else? Or any other thing first? All right, Jamie, go ahead and tell them you didn't have anything, you were just discussing about it. All right, fine.
Well, whenever we talk about pay, we have to have affordability.
Okay, anything else? Yes, Tim.
Manageability.
Manageability. We already have manageability. Anybody else? All right, that's our compensation is completed. Our next one is benefit, Jamie.
Living wage.
And what is the living wage going to get you for an interest?
It's gonna be part of recruitment and retention because everybody in the market is increasing.
Everybody is increasing their beginning wages and we're losing people to them every day. They're not exposed to children and we're paying wages that are not livable. I don't know how they're making it. I was doing some figures today. So they need a livable wage. And in 3 years or 4 years, I'm not sure, minimum wage is gonna be $15. So we've gotta figure out how to get people paid and get them to come to the school district.
All right, so that'll all come in with recruitment and retention, morale, respect. All that would give us, a living wage would give us all of that. Okay. And anything else for Article 10? All right, next up is Article 11, benefit, another good fun one, always. Benefit. Bill?
We may need to come back to this one when, Bonnie's back, and I'll do my best. I know that, there was an interest in sharing some information from the insurance task force about, the impact of COVID on the healthcare plan. And there's been some discussion about possible wellness incentives. And this one has less to do with maybe the health insurance side of things. This is something that was brought up in labor management, the number of payroll deduction slots for retirement accounts and the manageability of that, and then the level of service that employees receive by having, 100 different retirement options for 403 and that sort of thing.
Okay. Anything else on benefits? Or do you want to hold that off and go on in time? Yeah. Yeah, we can reserve that time and come over to Article 12 if you want to. Jamie?
Does this include the ESSER funds from the federal government?
I don't know if that would come under benefits. That might be more of a compensation thing, or compensation and benefits to discuss ESSER funds.
Okay, so we'll just hold off on ESSER funds until, instead of placing it in a particular place, we'll just keep that in the back of your mind, Jamie. Anything else, or shall we jump over the weeds and just keep that out for until Bonnie returns? I suppose we could do some interest that would go on with this benefits. Hear me? We want a healthy insurance fund.
Okay,
And COVID could be impacting that. It probably is.
all right, that would be part of the story over this time.
I remember another piece of funding, spouse and dependent coverage, and then a topic of interest,
Okay.
spouse and dependent coverage.
Anything else?
All right, we'll hold that off, come back to that. And the next one would be Article 12, leave. And I believe that was SPALC. Or it says SPALC/district, so I guess it's going. Go ahead, Rob.
That's one that we started on the rewrite of last year, and we got a first draft kind of to the bargaining teams, and then I think just have to come back in labor management, finalize some of that, and then hopefully get it in front of the bargaining teams for everyone to kind of beat up and offer feedback on, and hopefully move forward with a more clear and concise version of Article 12.
Okay. So, all right, do we have interest in that, or do we want to just leave it at that, Jamie?
So for a number of years, we've talked about having where employees can go in, just like transportation goes in and puts in there that they're sick, right, into leave management. And we also have an interest in being able to put in advance personal leave, so it's on the books, and the principals approve or don't approve right online, and the people can see it, because sometimes the requests are left on a desk and now they come up to they want their leave and they can't have it.
Okay, so all of that, what is the interest behind all of that? What's that going to get our employees? So,
Fairness and equity.
okay, thank you. Anything else? Now, I can see something up here, GED, professional development. Is that something we need to do a snapshot on tonight, or will?
So I know that was, that's not an article that we currently have, but we wanted to talk about having a specific article for professional development. There's things kind of scattered throughout the contract that reference training, and wanted to kind of formalize that, and the professional development department has already made an effort to provide additional training and support to support staff, but we wanted to have a place in the contract that kind of captures that that's a commitment.
Okay. All right, back to leave. Do you need any information brought forward for leave? You have a sample language, so different. Okay. That wraps up the discussion of, all the snapshots. Is there anything?
Donna, you have one more article.
Yeah.
Yes.
Give us a second, because we're reading the insurance one up, so we have to do a little. What's the number of the article?
It's Article 2, rights, privileges, and responsibilities. And our snapshot is pretty straightforward.
Okay.
So the snapshot is employees not receiving notice when a public records request is made on them.
Okay, anything else? That's it? Amber?
So our interests, as are just respect, employees should know that information about them has been requested.
Okay. Jamie?
We had a situation where someone didn't know it was requested and it showed up in the Lehi Gazette.
Okay. Anything else on this? All right, and that, I believe, wraps up all our articles for discussion. The snapshot, I'll still leave this one up and put on the back just in case. Would you like to take a brief break before we dive into Article 6? All right, I think thumbs up and a few minutes, so let's do a 10 minutes. Yes. So bring back at 5:35.
a couple of snapshots to wrap up, so everybody can get to the seat, please.
So this.
Okay. We're gonna wait till I get back to the group, and I kind of everything, I'll get your special articles before. You have a chance to look at what's up here. All right, it says,
That's my eyes on the right.
It's kind of small, I didn't notice like that.
task force plan for healthcare plan, or the task force is going to report about the healthcare plan, I guess.
Okay.
Wellness incentives, number of payroll deductions for retirement, and the level of service with so many options, spouse and dependent coverage, and COVID impact on insurance.
Good.
That sounds good. Okay, do we need to add any other interest? Manageability and affordability, I think we have to go in this one because it's a big ticket item. That it is. And I think recruitment, retention, and morale would also go in there. Okay. Now, for the rest of the team, any other interest? They didn't when we were talking about this, so, I think I'll leave it up, the rest up to you. And what about that, do you need any? I don't need any, I have mine.
I remember.
Is there anything, anybody else want? No? Just whatever you want to bring and bring. I can always add, if something comes up to something specific, I'm happy to bring it. Absolutely, thank you. All right. All right, Christine? Right, during the break, I was asked if we could add one more thing to Article 2, as part of story, so Christine?
Yeah, I think it would be helpful for both staff and health, to have something in the agreement, that deals with disclosure of employee contact information. I think we have so many exemptions, and obviously we've got a lot of public records requests and employees concerned about their private information getting out. So what we would be looking for is some things in the agreement to address that and ensure confidentiality.
All right, do we have any interest other than respect to add to this? Ken? It's on its way.
Oh, now you're gonna get two.
Security.
Security and to
Personal information.
okay. Okay. Do we need any other additional information to go along with the Article 2? Okay, great. So that means we are ready. Article 6. I assume we're gonna go in the order that they were on the agenda, unless anybody wants to pick one out. Okay. So there'll be more than one vote. All right, story for working conditions. And if we want to go back to the snapshot,
in providing coverage and liability tied to it, lack of student discipline, employees providing tools and spending money for district jobs, uniforms relative to shoes, CEOs, endorsements and maintenance, impacting morale and pay as compare with the market rate. And our interests are two different line items in equity, fairness, accountability, respect, affordability, and manageability. So with that, who would like to begin the story? Jamie?
So paraprofessionals are being asked before their district time is over. Say their district time is over at 3:15. They're having them go in at 2:35, 2:40 to sit in a classroom, and then kids for after school are being sent down to that classroom, and they supervise them until their time is up or until the daycare person comes. Now, it's a fee-based. It's fee-based to start with for daycare.
Slower because Amanda's new at this.
Okay.
Tell me slow down. I did.
So after care, fee-based. And the district is paying for that paraprofessional until 3:15, which is a different line item. And my other concern about that is those students are being let out of class so much earlier than everyone else to go sit in those rooms, so they're losing minutes of class time. When the district is looking to add minutes, they're actually at some schools losing those minutes in the classroom. So if those parents choose not to go get the CPR, go get re-fingerprinted for DCF, they're not qualified to be in that aftercare program. Anything else?
Well,
Yeah, is this at several schools? Is this a few schools? I mean, what is the status?
I think it depends on the principal and that school. I'm not sure. We're not 100% on that. We know that some schools are doing it. The thing I'm more concerned about is for the district. Because if we're not certified, if we're being sent into these daycares, and DCF is they're very strict, and something happened to a student and we don't have that CPR in place, or we don't have that background check that they want, because they'll step in and say, okay, we don't want. Because I've been background checked, FBI checked, everything. So they don't want, DCF don't want our background check and fingerprint from the district. They want their own. So if we're pushed into that classroom, it's the safety of the kids, myself, and anybody else that's in that classroom because now I'm not in the school district, I'm in that fee-based job. And I don't have that CPR. Some parents did take the CPR, but DCF didn't accept that CPR. They wanted their own CPR from their own company. What was it?
It's American Heart
American Heart Association. They want that. Some parents went online because they were American Heart Association, was not taking any classes. So they told them to go online, and they spent $63 taking another class, which is the same thing, but DCF said no. So they're very strict. And I just don't want it to fall back on the district or fall back on that payroll that's been put in there, and then something happens. That's the most important thing. Something might happen.
Okay. Well, there's a couple of issues. I mean, from what I can see here, that one issue is, or more than a couple. One issue is there's a suggestion that principals are sending kids to aftercare before the end of the school day. That's one. Two is they're asking paras to cover the aftercare,
And then I'll get paid.
which isn't necessarily part of their duties as a paraprofessional. And three is your valid concern relative to the district's responsibility relative to DCF. Am I capturing that correctly?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Amy?
Go ahead.
It's gonna be a particularly hardship on early dismissal day. Because some schools, a lot of schools, send all of the paras in to do aftercare on a rotating shift, but they're still on the district dime. It is their, they're supposed to be helping the teachers or doing whatever it is on that early dismissal day, and a lot of schools, a great number of schools are sending paras in that won't be CPR trained, won't be fingerprint for DCF, and they will be expected to do aftercare when this first, early dismissal rolls around.
Is that just this school year, or has that been happening?
That's been happening.
That's been happening for years, where they send the paras in to do after school, and they're paid, it's kind of unfair, because the paras that go in that aren't in daycare, they're being paid their regular pay, and the paras that are doing aftercare are being paid less money.
So, Amy?
Hi.
I think the understanding though, since this has been going on for a while, is that, especially on an early dismissal day, they're still under the directive of school, so that's where they need the help. I'm just, from what I think I've heard, it was okay for them to go. Now the CPR thing and at dismissal, if they're still under the school clock, and there's plenty of people that have that certification, it's to help with dismissal, would be my thought, but I don't know. In particular, what
Amy?
Okay, way back with Ron Frazier, he did not want the money mixed. You were either paid your daycare pay or you were paid your regular pay, and you couldn't put somebody into daycare on their regular pay. So the people that worked daycare back then worked daycare, and they were the daycare workers. I don't know how they arranged their schedules, but now you have the added issue with DCF that I guess started it last year and nobody caught it. But this year, all aftercare, early care must be fingerprinted by DCF and must have that CPR component. Bill?
I think one of the other things, as Jamie's mentioning, kind of the distinction, there's two different job descriptions. You have a job description for fee-based programs. And so I think if I'm understanding the concern, it's that you're having someone who might have a regular, full-time support staff position who's being asked to perform duties under a different job description. Is that correct?
Correct. We did not previously have a fee-based job description. It was fee-based, you volunteered to work it, and that's the only people that worked it. And on the off days, they even signed up operators. I know in the summertime there were operators that worked the fee-based programs. And it's just, this DCF has really caused it to change. And it's changed over the years that more and more people that are there, instead of working with the teachers and learning what they need to learn during that time or taking classes during that time, they're now being told to go out to aftercare, and they've not done it all year. They don't understand the rules. They haven't been trained. They're just kind of dumped into the program, and then there's an issue that they're getting in trouble because they didn't understand the requirements.
Okay, Will?
So also as part of that, I think this maybe fits with what you're saying, but I guess just as more story. So I know you mentioned the difference in the minimum qualifications, the background check and screening process that DCF requires. Are those things that you're seeing as what causes the change in working conditions?
And nodding, so, yes. Yes. Anything else, Vivian? That's like the Vivian. And from what I understand, the school has to pay for that background check. So I don't know where they're getting that money, from what budget to pay for that background, so it's what, $63? I don't know. I think it's $63 for each person that get that background. That's for DCF. We already did background checks for the school district. This is for DCF.
I was just gonna, I just wanna make sure that I understand, because I think there's two different situations you're talking about with the time piece. One is on early dismissal days when students have left, but then there are students in the fee-based program that stay. And then, but you also brought up the issue about at the end of the day, and I think Jamie said something about 45 minutes. So I just needed some clarification about that, because I'm just thinking about what time dismissals are and then what time most support staff contract ends is within 10, 15 minutes of dismissal, so I'm not seeing where that happens. I'm just curious, so I would also be interested in, as far as more information about how many sites this is happening at versus, you know, is it one or two sites or is it a whole bunch of sites, I guess is my question.
I don't have that information. I had a situation where someone called and was told, you're going in there at 10 to 3 and you'll stay until they come, and it was almost 4 o'clock and she got off at 3:30. So it's an abusive thing too, and it doesn't matter if it's happening at one school, 20 schools, it's putting the district in liability for not doing what they should be doing.
Yeah, I understand that. I guess my question is, because I'm just thinking about I'm thinking about my situation and how it's applicable to here. Our dismissal is at 2:10. Most of our support staff's their contracted hours ends at 2:20. So everybody in the building is doing something for dismissal, and I think this is what Jamie was talking about. Some take walkers, some take bus riders, some take parent pickup, everybody has responsibility for students. At 2:20, kids care, or what we call ours kids care, fee-based staff then takes over at that time. So there could be 10, 15 minutes where staff are supervising students because everybody on campus is involved in dismissal, but you're saying it's not 10 minutes till the end of their contracted time. You're saying it's beyond their contracted time for 30, 40 minutes?
Correct, and they could decide to use that fee-based person to cover those kids that are being sent to kids care, or whatever it's called in individual schools.
Okay, anything else? Amy?
Just answering a question that was posed earlier about the job, the background check and the charge for that and how the school will get the money for that. So that's part of the cost of operating the program. So, schools will charge parents X amount of dollars each week to come. And with the money that's generated from that, they're gonna pay all the expenses of the program, which would include, of course, the people who work in the program supervising children, and then also would include, those background checks and things like that. So typically, that's where the dollars come from to do that.
Okay. Jamie?
Some schools did that, but we had a school and everybody was quitting, so they changed their mind and they went to paying for those because they told the parents, you're gonna pay for the background check or for the fingerprints, and you're gonna pay for the CPR too. And people quit, so they changed their mind. Because it was working for, I don't know, was it like $133 and they worked 2 hours a day, a couple times a week. It would have been weeks without paying for their own work. Background check.
Okay,
Anything else? Will?
Just another point of clarification, and I know that the fee-based program, that job description is a casual employment opportunity, so it's not part of the SPALC contract. But I know that, those positions, like you're saying, that their staff with SPALC and TELC people, so obviously that's something that people would have an interest in. But I think as far as what we're able to negotiate for and around in here, it would be the impact to the SPALC regular position, not necessarily the fee-based casual position.
Okay. Anything else to do with the fee-based issue? All right, let's see what else we had. You want to, generate some, solutions while we're, on this topic, or you want to go through the whole article and then just kind of do solutions?
So first we need to know, is it legal for them to pay somebody for time that the district is paying for and to do work for that fee-based program?
Could you clarify your question a little bit better? So, is it under the Fair Labor Standards Act, is it what?
So we've had issues in the last couple of years with if you use money in this line item and the state doesn't like it, they come after you, they ding you on the audits. Is that gonna get you a ding on the audit for using those employees for a fee-based program when it's district money?
No.
Okay, so then the solution is to send out a letter to every principal and let them know that that's an issue that they need to correct.
Okay, what part of the issue? I mean, there's several things going on here. And the payment issue is obviously our issue. When I say our issue, I mean the district. Since yours do, you have a legitimate concern. I think what Will said is well taken, which is your bargaining authority is to bargain for the people that are for their current job in the district, not for the fee-based program. So basically your point is to stop sending people to the fee-based program before the end of the school day. Is that essentially what you're urging? Okay.
Correct, they need to not use, well, technically, can they use anybody?
My okay isn't meaning I'm agreeing with you, I'm just understanding what you're saying.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Okay, so, Heather, I'll write the thing down. Amy?
Yes, so I just want to clarify or add just a little bit more information to the question that was answered regarding, I think it was like, well, will we get a ding on the audit? No, not necessarily. However, it is best practice to keep those two things separate, right? Because the district's, obligation of where we spend that money is during the school day, right? Unless they have some kind of extended day program that is free for anybody, then that would be a different story. But in the situation of a fee-based program where people are paying to access the program, then the money to pay the people that are participating and working in the program should come from that revenue that comes from people who are paying to access the program. So there should be rightfully a separation there. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, thanks, Amy.
Anything else for clarification or any other questions? You do have, send a letter to principals to stop sending fee-based students before the end of the school day. Jamie? So when I worked in the fee-based program, they structured paraprofessionals' start and stop times. So those employees that needed to do fee-based, that their stop time was also their start time for the fee-based. And they would go cover wherever those students were sent at that time. So some of it may just be restructuring the normal work hours. So if they're sending them down at 3:05 because school dismisses at 3:15, then they need to structure that para's time to stop for the classroom coverage at 3:05 and they go down to where the aftercare is. Some of this is just, it was how it was done at my school. But was a long, long time principal, so it's just considerations of how to do things and how to change schedules. All right, so you're saying not having language added to the contract, but just send a letter to principal would solve this issue. Elizabeth?
I'd like to see language, or harmless language in the contract for employees. If they are sent to cover daycare, and something happens, and they don't have that certification or that additional training that after school employees or temporary employees have.
Yeah, and I don't know what stage of the interest-based process we're at, so I would say that, I think some evidence, I don't doubt what they're saying, but I think a level of the problem, which hasn't been completely articulated. I mean, we have 100 schools, how many is this happening at? I know they anecdotally have told us a couple of stories. I mean, because the minute you send something out to principals, all of them, that suggests this is a district-wide problem. I don't know if it is. I mean, you know, this is our first day of marketing, so if we could just somehow.
An option to do a survey of paraprofessionals or?
I mean, that's an option, I think. I mean, that we can put up there. I mean, I just, obviously, I've been back 4 days, so I have no knowledge of this problem at all. But I think I heard from some of my team members, you know, what's the significance of the problem.
All right, Ken, and then Amy.
One thing I noticed was said and kind of missed. I know when I worked elementary schools, the half days in particular, the parents paid extra for. So it's, I don't know how much of a conflict of interest it is to send a parent to cover your fee-based program when they're working until 3 o'clock, let's say. But school got out at 1, so for 2 hours, they're either being district but watching fee-based, or how is that going to be effective? So that's something that we all need to consider, because that does hold the district and the employees liable.
Amy, you were next, or are we going to be on?
So I'm trying to figure out how to say this. I guess I'm concerned, I'm hearing what Jason and Jamie are saying about the end of school, and, you know, it's an all hands on deck, so I guess I'm trying to understand and trying to kind of thread the needle between, okay, there's 5 of us, and you're gonna go to bus, and you're gonna go to walkers, and you're gonna go to and you're gonna go to that, for that maybe 10 minutes is with Jason's example, until everybody can transition, right? Until the kids can actually get on the bus, and then the para is done working. Until the kids actually exit the building, you know, the gate with the walkers, and then the pair is done, until the kids transition to the after school, and then the pair is done. And so I'm just a little concerned about where we're going, because it seems like we're saying, oh, parents can't take kids to the after school program, and I don't think that's what we intend, but that's kind of what I'm seeing develop, and I think we need to be real cautious of the fact that, you know, we're still responsible for the kids until they transition to that next thing, whether that's in the car with mom and dad or to the after school program. So that has to be part of any kind of a option, is to protect that time and not limit staff in that way. I think you guys know what I'm talking about.
Okay. Vivian. So I would think that they would put the students that's in the fee-based program, instead of saying, go to the fee-based program and take these kids, because again, I understand what you're saying. It's not like we don't want to do the job. I mean, we just want to stay safe. We want to keep our jobs. DCF is involved in this. This is a whole new ball game. I understand what you said about the 10 minutes. It only takes 10 minutes. It only takes 10 minutes for a child to choke. It only takes 10 minutes for a child something to happen, and we don't have that CPR training. And if we're in that fee-based program, the first thing the parent's gonna say is that my child was in daycare. We're not gonna say it was in the school district. They'll say, well, she was in fee-based program with that parent. So we gotta, I guess I'm gonna have to say it. 255, what was it, 255? 245, school takes out at 310, what, 310? Sunshine gets out at 310. School takes in at 240, Walkers and, I shouldn't say the name, should I? No name. School goes, 245, 310, or 265, one or the other. But, yeah, they're using paras to go in that daycare to take care of those kids with no CPR training and no DCF background check. You're right to that. You know, you can walk around it, circle around it, but if you want to get these paras fingerprinted, if they want the job or if they want to go ahead and take that job, then that's fine. But I'm looking at the paras and this DCF thing that don't pop up. Okay, so Jason and then Jason.
So I think I'm hearing two issues. One is, I think early release is a separate conversation, because I think the district has an interest in schools not collecting fee-based money and then utilizing staff that's already being paid anyways. That's kind of, I think, what Jamie was alluding to. The end of the day thing, though, I'm still trying to understand, because the fee-based program doesn't start until the school day ends. So when school ends, that's when everybody is relieved of their school duties that, for lack of a better term, the district is paying their salaries for. And that's when fee-base kicks in, and now those employees have been hired under fee-base and they have the correct certifications. They have CPR, we've done background checks, all those things through our fee-based program. I think Jamie said something about for 45 minutes. I would be interested to know what that looks like and how many sites that happens at, because I can only speak to what happens at our school, but our bell rings at 2:10. Everybody on campus is involved in dismissal, everybody. Even the building supervisor is involved in dismissal, you know? And we have to get groups of students to different places, like Bonnie was alluding to, walkers, bikers, parent pickup, bus riders, kids care is what our program is called. Everyone has different duties. And so, you know, one of the challenges we've always had is that most of our support personnel, their contracts end at 2:20, and ensuring that we have scheduled people until when the teacher's time ends at 2:50. So there's like a half hour there. So we have to ensure that we have people whose contract is end before we can have other employees whose contract ends later for that supervision piece. So in our process, I'm just, thinking about it, the bell rings at 2:10, we have to move all the kids to where they need to go. And yes, I guess, what you're alluding to is that there is a group of kids that are kids that attend the fee-based program, just like there's a group of kids who are parent pickup students, just like there's a group of kids that are bus riders, and there's a group of kids that are walkers. They are kind of dispersed to different places, and there are different people that are responsible for that supervision. And in our case, we actually have an instructional personnel and a support personnel that are supervising those students until the school day ends and the fee-based program begins. So I'm not sure about the DCF liability piece there, because it's just like if they were supervising students in the cafeteria during the day, or if they were supervising kids in the classroom during the day, supervising the kids walking to electives, it's still part of the school day. So I just would need clarification, understanding if you're saying that there are support staff that are supervising kids beyond the school day, I guess is the question, and beyond their contracted time, then yes, I think that's an issue and it would need to be addressed at those sites. I don't know if I said that clear enough.
Jamie with that. So every year, this isn't just this small amount of time. And I could tell you at the school I was at with Mr. Vetter, that the daycare kids went down with the walkers. They sat on the opposite side of the room because there were parents in there were teachers in there. They supervised all of the kids. This is situations where they're sending them to a classroom with this para that they're by themselves, they aren't CPR, and the issue has now come up because of the DCF requirement.
Is it still the school day, or is it
It is still the school day. They've tightened it up a little bit, but these kids are missing instruction. I mean, up to 20 minutes because they're sent out of the room early. And that's a concern, especially when you want an additional 30 minutes of class time. This is wasted 15, 20 minutes. I can remember teachers that they taught right up until that bell rang and they wouldn't let anybody leave that room. But there has got to be a way that they can rearrange it. And the big concern is gonna come when we have that early dismissal day, because across the county, I get complaints from paraprofessionals. I didn't sign up to do daycare. I don't know how to do daycare. I don't know what the requirements are. I don't know what the rules are, but I'm being sent out with kids to take care of them by myself after school. Now, if they do that this year, they haven't been fingerprinted by DCF and they haven't taken the CPR. It's putting the school at risk, the principal at risk, and the district at risk because they're not meeting DCF requirements. And I know Head Start is really particular about all their requirements with Head Start because DCF does that. And when there's other issues and you're gonna have to figure out how to find out yourself. But I also get complaints several times a year from different places, and I just try not to remember the schools to get people in trouble. But somebody will be paid until 3:15, but their daycare time starts at 3 o'clock and they're being paid both places. So that's an accountability issue for you guys, but this is gonna be an issue when we come up to early dismissal. I'm gonna hear it because I've already heard it. I don't wanna pay for the fingerprinting. I don't think I should have to pay for the CPR. And we worked through that at one school, but a lot of people just quit. Some of them pay for it themselves. And that's sad when you have to pay to work. So, and they need that second job because they're just not making it.
Jamie Broder.
I still think, because they're on the clock, that would be the DCF clarification I think that we have to have. Because, for example, in our school, when we dismiss at 3:10, my paras aren't off the clock until 3:30, so when they're helping with dismissal, they could be helping anywhere. And some of our, yeah, it would be feasibly nice to make our people who work fee-based to be able to be there for that 20 minutes, so they already know what the processes are and everything, because that doesn't always happen if you think about certain pairs that work, like might be a one-on-one and have to go to the bus, that type of thing. Maybe that's some clarification that we need, because I still think it's during the school day, so.
Yeah, I think, like everyone has said, there's a lot of different issues to unpack here. I think a potential option would be to have some guidelines that could be distributed on, you know, how to work your aftercare, before care, aftercare programs. You know, I think that 20 minutes that you're talking about when they're still on the clock, I think that is fair game, and legally I don't think that we would be liable for anything that could possibly happen at that point. If it's when the fee-based program actually begins, and if you're being asked to then watch the kids, then we might have some issues. But I think clarification might be helpful, because it is kind of an all hands on deck approach, and just to make sure we're not too enmeshed or crossing any of those lines might be helpful.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Will?
So I just wanted to mention to us, doing some research in terms of, I know there was some discussion about what's a reasonable time for providing supervision, and there is Florida statute language around that, that says 30 minutes before or after school is a reasonable time for which the district is responsible for providing supervision to students. I think with that, you know, some of the rest of the conversation follows, as you mentioned, you know, people kind of double dipping, you know, who's being assigned what duties. I think you mentioned, and this might be an option, you know, an interest in having the cost of fingerprinting or the background checks and CPR covered for members of your bargaining unit. I don't know if that kind of captures that, but that statute is 1003.31.
Yeah, another option is, and I hate doing this, because when I was a team member, I sometimes got concerned about bringing things to SPALC labor management outside of bargaining, but there's some things going on here, including the information as to how significant an issue this is, but also our options are kind of all over the place. So I don't know, I'm gonna put that up there as an option, potential SPALC labor management issue. And then bring it back.
All right, anybody else? All right, and there are several options up here. Send a letter to principals to stop sending fee-based students before the end of the school day. Keep the two separate as a best practice. Restructuring our work hours to transition to aftercare. Hold harmless language added to the contract. Do a survey to see how widespread this is. Guidelines on how to operate before and after care. Cost of fingerprinting and CPR will be covered by the district. And bring to SPALC labor management. Does anybody have anything they'd like to test or create a straw design? Jason?
I'd like to test the option, bring to SPALC labor management, and then bring back to the bargaining team.
Okay. We have to test, bring the SPALC labor management, and then bring it back here for your consideration. Can I see thumbs? Remember, thumb up means you agree, thumb to the side means you can live with it, and thumb down means no.
Okay, I see a couple of thumbs down. Jamie?
So some of this has been an issue for years at schools. And we keep getting the complaints about having to do fee-based on district time when they could be working with their teachers, learning the curriculum. Even some of our paras could be on that first early dismissal day completing their safe schools training because the first day they were back, their principals had them cutting up little pieces of paper instead of doing their training. They're telling these folks to do that training at home. They don't have the time to do the things they need to do with their teachers. We need to discuss it here. My folks want to discuss it here and come to agreement. We can't even see that page over here, so I would say all of them except for the bottom one.
All right, Vivian also has her thumb down.
That's clarification.
Yes, thank you.
Clarification for Mr. Sparks. If you put your thumb down, you're supposed to offer what you would need to change in the test in order to move forward, correct?
Solution is all of them but the bottom one.
Vivian, you need to explain why your thumb is down. You just said it to the group. Okay.
Well, my thumb was down because I wanted to get it clear tonight if we can, if possible, get it done tonight instead of waiting for labor management. And again, like I said, my concern is the safety of paraprofessionals. It's wanting that fee-based, as they call it, daycare, during the school hours. They're not calling it school hours, they're calling it, okay, you're going to daycare. So if you're going into daycare, now what I'm getting from, I don't know his name, what I'm getting from you is that, Mrs. Browder, that, school is still in. That is part of some jobs that we are asked to do. Girls will do anything. We're not the type that don't want to do nothing. We want to do it, but we want to stay safe. We want to make sure everything is in order, make sure that we're covered. So you're saying if I go into daycare, you send me into daycare and I go into daycare, I'm covered, right? I'm covered. If that child shows.
I'm saying that's where we need clarification.
Oh, okay. So if that child.
During the day, I would think it would be, but that's why I said, when does the DCF rule take place?
Yeah, that's what we need to know, and that's why I said, this is not labor management, this is on school district back.
Well, labor management is the school.
Okay, also, this, we need to clarify, get a lot of stuff clarified now. This is very important, this is nothing you just lay aside and say, we'll pick back up tomorrow, or 2 months ago, or 2 months later. It needs to be done now, because it is happening.
Okay, and I did hear to tell labor management and bring it back to this group, which means it will be brought back to you before we end negotiations.
It's happening.
And I saw Kenny with her thumb down as well, so would you please let Kenny have the mic?
My worry is it's not only for the school district, it's for para, but for that child. That child is being put in someone's hands that is not trained.
Not certified.
I worked in a daycare, I was assistant director of a daycare for 9 years. If you put that child in the hands of somebody that's not trained, and doesn't know how to deal with that child,
That's not right.
that's not right. You are putting a major liability on this school district that they don't want to go to, because when the state steps in, they have a tendency to get real nasty.
Nobody don't want to get investigated with DCF. Okay.
So I'm just warning you, as someone who has worked in the field, I don't want to see something bad happen to any child that's in the school district. That child is my first concern. Even, I don't want to see an employee either, but I have to look after that child. That's where I come from.
Okay,
That's why
so you don't think that going with self-labor management will get to what you need to the safety of the student?
Possibly not.
Okay. So you don't think Jamie and Elizabeth and Will and Rob would consider safety as student in their decision?
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
What I'm saying is.
That's about labor management.
Okay, that's about labor management, and I respect every single one of them. But the facet is, if they're not out there in the field dealing with this, individuals who are in the field need to be with them to help them understand exactly what they're having to deal with.
Okay, and I don't think there would be a problem if they needed to bring somebody in. People bring, other people come into labor management all the time. So if that's what's holding you up from going sideways, if you could live with that option, then, that wouldn't be, that would always be a consideration, and they can bring anybody, they could bring Jamie in, Jason in, Vivian in, anybody who's directly involved in the situation to that meeting, okay?
Okay.
Now, Vivian, you said you wanted it done tonight. We're leaving here at 7 o'clock. We don't have to. And you voted it down because you wanted it done tonight.
Well, it's a concern to me because I know beforehand that this is going on. And I just want safety.
Okay?
And, if I understand the principal's situation, where, I'm a parent. 29 years, I did it all, and I don't mind like doing it all. That's not the issue. The issue is this new thing come up with this DCF. Nobody wants to be investigated. Nobody knows if something happens. If you're saying you're sending me into a daycare, then I'm not certified. If you're saying that you're sending me into a classroom to sit with these kids, then I'm certified. Don't say that, okay, go to fee-based daycare where I'm not certified. I don't have that CPR. I don't have that DCF background check.
We understand that, and
So that's my concern.
notes taken. But I think South Labor Management, when is the next South Labor Management meeting?
Well, who's looking tonight?
Yeah, Rob?
Yeah, I hear all of your concerns, and so does our team, and we don't diminish any of them, we understand. South Labor Management isn't in any way going to avoid those concerns. You have representation there, it's just a way to, in a smaller group, possibly brainstorm some solutions, one of which I would probably say let's combine with the South Labor Management option, which is Christine's, which was guidelines, which is something it appears you all think the principals need, to possibly get us to a place where your concerns are satisfied. And I just thought of the vehicle of South Labor Management because it seems like in my 13 or 14 years in this district, that kind of issue that would come up in South Labor Management. But I understand and respect your ability to speak out about it, and I want you to have that. So, but the vehicle of using South Labor Management has been effective in the past on similar issues like this. And I think we have some other key members that wanted to speak.
All right, and I put up here, start design A, South Labor Management, and create.
October 6th is the next meeting.
October 6th is the next meeting. So we'll even put a date certain up here. Does that change anybody's mind? Jamie?
Yeah.
Vivian?
Yes.
Okay. All right, just to make this official, can I see everybody's thumbs again for Star Design A, which is for South Labor Management on a certain date, October 6th, to create guidelines in regards to this topic. Okay, it looks like we've got it. Thank you, everybody. All right, let's give us a chance to
paper around here.
And we can go to the next
Topic.
That's fine. Okay, the next thing on the is lack of student discipline. Was the next thing under Article 6.
And I'm gonna pass the mic, my two members because they deal with this on a daily basis.
Okay.
But, again, just to reiterate the concern, there's definitely been an uptick in issues with, student discipline just in general, whether it's on the bus or in the classroom or wherever. And who would like to start? Who would like to? Who wanted to start? You start.
Hello. I would like to start with, school buses. We have some buses in, I can only talk about the South Zone. We have other people here that can talk about, East Zone. I can only talk about South Zone. So I know in South Zone that we have buses that the students are very, very difficult. I'm talking about the parents, at the bus stop, threatening the bus drivers, the students threatening the bus drivers because of what they were, are saying in school. We have a lot of drivers, is really thinking about throwing in the towel because of the behavior of the students. And for the most part of it in our zone is the same buses in the same schools every single year. No one at the schools, not all the schools, but at these certain schools that I'm talking about, give the drivers any kind of support. And when you have to drive kids that's threatening your life and their parents that's threatening your life, you don't really want to do the job anymore. So it really something needs to be done about it. We have students that will throw shoes at the bus drivers while they're driving down the road. They will get out of their seat, they run up and down the aisle. And then, you're kind of told to drive them anyway. Well, that's actually against being a driver, because if you have somebody throwing something at your head, you don't supposed to continue to drive. And then once you get the kids back to the school or whatever, a lot of the schools will not take the students back, and that part I don't get. Because if that child is that out of control and it's, unsafe if you drive that child should be removed off the bus and parents call or whatever to pick them up. So I would like to see, something, I mean, it needs to be looked into. Because it's just really unsafe for everybody, the driver, the students, the other motorists out there.
Okay, thank you, Arlie. Anybody else? Yes.
Well, we have certain situations, speaking from the security specialist point of view, that, it's situations where, me personally, I've been a part of where kids make threat, pull out, wants to beat up security spaces, and just irate. And the kid gets a 1-day suspension and comes back to where one situation where the kid, got the suspension, the charge was thrown out, and the kid came to the security specialist's second job to let them know that nothing happened. So, I think something had to change within that. Also, just, what if it would have been a different situation if that kid would have came and said, and brought friends or whatever, you don't know what the situation could have been. So, and we go, speaking for my school, we go through these situations daily. It's not just once a year, daily.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Vivian?
I'm sure everyone in this room has heard of the wonderful TikTok challenge that's been going around. It affects technology side as well, and what we're seeing is an inconsistency of how we're dealing with what is now blatant vandalism, whether they're ripping the bathroom stalls apart or purposely breaking the Chromebooks. It seems to be inconsistent of how it's being dealt with from school to school.
Okay, thanks, Ken.
In my case, I get a lot of paraprofessionals calling saying that, I just got spit on, I just got scratched, just got, black and blue, bruises. If it happened to a teacher, maybe they would, they'll suspend them. If it happens to a principal, they get 10 days, or 10 days. But it happens to me, nothing is done. It's like you go in, you keep doing it, you keep getting bruises, keep getting kicked, keep getting spit on, keep getting, tortured. I feel like there should be something in place for us to be protected. We love our students. I know I do.
Thank you, Vivian.
And I work in BI, so.
Jason?
I think part of the story is that the district and all of us involved have a vested interest in ensuring a safe and secure school environment. I think that for the story, it should be noted that there's a code of conduct that the district has been adopted by the school board, that has multiple avenues for addressing discipline concerns. I think that part of the story needs to be that if any employee is involved in an incident, whether it be a SPALC administrator, that there are processes and procedures in place for reporting of incidents and injuries so that staff receives care. That's all right now.
That's it? Okay. Anybody else? Jamie and then Vivian?
I think sometimes support is just kind of an afterthought. I can think of a situation that happened in a high school. Security was notified about a student to watch for the student because the parent thought he had a gun in his backpack. The security wasn't at the front of the building. The clerk typist was at the front of the building, because it was a high school. They never told her. She said hi as he went past and never notified anybody that he was in the school. So we need to ensure that support staff is taken into consideration for the student code of conduct. This year, we were never even invited to the meeting. And, that was always done in the past. Mr. Bohatch would call us and talk to us whether we were invited to the meeting or not. He would say, what are your concerns about the student code of conduct? And then we need to have management understand that our concerns are just as important as anybody else's concerns. I've been threatened, somebody was gonna come to my house and kill me. It's just as concerning to us as it is to the teachers, because now all of our information has been put out everywhere and kids can access it on the internet and know where we live. And it's a concern for everybody, and some of the parents are as bad or worse than the students, and we don't have any right to do anything about them. And the parents threaten us. We've had drivers quit because they're just tired of having the parents come threaten them at the bus stop. You're gonna pick my kid up at my house or else I'm gonna come beat your. So it's out there, it's just society right now, and we need to either put a stop to it or start doing something to get to that point to protect the employees, because the district is responsible for the protection of employees. Rob?
It's really odd to sit here and say that I don't agree, that I disagree with anything. I have no problem with anything any of you have said. I think it's important to know that this is an issue on rebargaining that we should all be collaborating on. The safety and security of our students and the safety and security of our staff. And Jamie made some very valid points regarding society today and things that are going on out there. But it's our job and it's incumbent upon us to make sure everybody is safe. Now, can you do that 100% of the time? Absolutely not. Can we put some things in place that might allow you to do your jobs without the concerns that you have expressed today? Possibly. So, I don't know what options there could be. Jason brings up some valid points about things that are already in place. However, the fact that you weren't invited to talk about the code of conduct, that's certainly something we can remedy in some fashion. And I'm here now, and I promise you that that shouldn't happen again. It didn't happen while I was here for 13 years and 8 months. So I have an extreme concern. I was an outsider for over 2 years and saw what's happening. And everybody needs to be safe, or we will have nobody that wants to work in our schools. So we're with you. We're here to collaborate and try to find some solutions, or at least within the parameters of collective bargaining, what we can do in that respect.
Okay, thank you, Rob. Everybody else, Bill?
I guess the first thing is, and I know we didn't give reports back to you guys on all of this, but a couple members of our district bargaining team did do shadow days last year, and so I know there are people who got to spend a day riding the bus, got to spend a day working as a school security specialist. I can tell you my own personal experience, it was incredibly humbling. Having to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning to be at the bus depot, for me, it was eye-opening having a 9-month-old. I don't know how people manage childcare and manage to make it to work that early. Waking kids up out of their sleep to get them somewhere at any time is not an easy thing to do, and so to do it around that work schedule, particularly difficult. And I know exactly, some of the scenarios that you're talking about in terms of students being disrespectful or rowdy and not following directions. Even having worked with students with behavioral problems in the past, it was a lot. There is, I think, from my perception, differences in the level of respect that some students show different adults based on their position in the school. I don't know if that's something that we necessarily have direct control over, but I think it's something that we can work on and work with, people to make sure that students are showing everyone respect. One of the other things, and this is kind of a question, maybe a segue into a different topic, so I'll just throw it out there, but I know that there has been some discussion about special centers and about some of the differences in working conditions at special centers. I know that in some cases, people receive specialized training on de-escalation or on some of the restorative justice practices, that are being used in other places throughout the district. I know that when we were doing a tour of bus depots and had kind of a quarterly meeting at each zone, that was one of the big things that was brought up was there isn't always clear communication from schools about what specific disciplinary actions, may or may not be, suitable for whatever a student's behavior is. Some schools I think are better than others from what we've heard at following up with drivers so that they feel like there's action. I know there's the challenge of you don't see that person until the end of the day, so it's not always the immediate response that you get when you're in the building where the student was sent to the office and they came back and here's what the referral said with the consequences. I know also, and get different appreciation or understanding for this from the bus operator, attendant perspective, you're also not always able to, just write up a referral right then because you've got other stops that you've got to get to. You've got, other schools, other students that are waiting on you. So that's something that then, there's sometimes a lag there for you getting the paperwork in to get the response back. I don't know how much those things contribute, but I'm sure there are some best practices already in place at certain schools that we can talk about and look to in helping address some of those challenges.
Vivian, did you want to say something? No, Jamie?
Have an option that we put into the contract that SPALC will be consulted about or included on the committee for the student code of conduct. We just trusted all these years and hadn't had to have it in the contract.
Okay. Do we have anything, Christine?
So there's not really a committee. There are several people that are working to revise it and revamp it, but really the changes that have been made over the years are not major. I don't know that having someone at every single working session would be possible. I think that the input part is definitely necessary. I think the wording will be very important. If we include this as an option, it will be consulted prior to approval. I think we could do something to that effect. But yeah, providing input is something as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Jamie, would you be okay with that option?
I don't know.
All right.
I think I need to talk to TALC because they also have the same situation, because it is our understanding that there is a committee that meets, and that's what it was in the past, that there are parents that are included in that committee. And part of this situation is just backup from administration. When you tell them that a child is on a bus causing this issue, and they stand there in front of the kids and yell at the driver, just get them on the bus and take them home. Yeah, they can write a referral, but that driver just lost all respect. And this is a situation that is continually getting worse with the students, and students are acting like some of the parents now.
Rob?
If I could, And I think Christine's point is well taken, which is there were years, like when we did the restorative practices rewrite, where there was a substantive committee. And, but there was never parents on that committee. They would go and get input from parents. There was a desire to get input from parents. I mean, one year, Dr. Bobach and I went on the road to various schools to talk to students. So it's been done in various ways. But I don't hesitate at all to say that you all should have some chance to review or look at the proposed language. I mean, that's clearly something that should happen. But Christine's point is well taken, which is, I don't know where they're at this year and what they're doing, but there's not a standing committee every year that has 20 people on it or something like that. That's not how it works. It depends on the substance of what's going to be done with the code, typically.
Okay, thanks, Rob, for that clarification. Arlene?
I want a couple things. When it comes down to the buses, since everybody else seemed to have an input in it, why not have the input of the drivers, the people who actually driving the children to and from? And on the referral end, and I would like to say too, because I don't want everybody to think all our schools are not ran well, because a lot of them is. But we have the problem with the same school. And most of the time, the average bus driver is trying to get that referral back to that school within 24 hours. So a lot of times we might not have a chance to give it to them that morning, but we try to give it to them that afternoon. The majority of the time, the schools that we're having problems with, they never even give the bus driver the referrals back. So we never know, what's going on with that referral. And even sometimes when you go and have a conversation with them, they still don't tell you. Like it's not, our right to know or whatever. And that's one of our students. It's our right to know what's going on. So a lot of it is just like swept up under the rug. And, we done heard rumors that a lot of the schools that we're having problems with, that they don't even process the referrals because some kind of point system, and they don't want to lose points or whatever, so they don't even process the referrals. So that's one reason that, things are getting so bad.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna let Jason speak and then we're gonna wrap it up.
I just want to point out that there is language currently in the contract regarding exactly kind of what y'all are talking about, for the referral process. And it is in Article 6, Section 5, it's on page 18, so. Number 2, the process. And it talks about referrals being a copy to the transportation employee within 5 work days. And if the problem continues, the transportation employee supervisor will arrange for a meeting with the principal or designee. The transportation employee supervisor and other parties is deemed appropriate. For schools with continued problems, the issue will be for the executive director of transportation to find a solution. Right here.
I have Arlene.
So I guess what I'm saying is we do have language in there, so maybe more an issue of following the contract language that we currently have than, the need to write new language.
Well, yeah, we know there's language there, but the language is not being followed at all.
Okay, so that's another issue besides writing new language. It is now 6:55, one last word?
Sure. Will just pointed me to language that's in the TALC agreement about a student discipline committee that you all are supposed to have membership on. So we need to bring back that language. It's Article 14 in the TALC, it's part of Article 14 in the TALC agreement. This was after my time here, so that was bargained. And it does mention the code of conduct in there and reviewing it. So if you all, before next session, could take a look at that language, that may be an option.
Good. And Jamie did say she wanted to get the SPALC to no further, so there you go. It is 6:55, and just so everybody's clear on our next meeting, SPALC meets again when? Not next week. So October 4th, right? That would be October 4th. So October 4th at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. 4 to 7, October 4th.
I just have a question. When can we expect the minutes?
So we'll work on getting them to you as soon as possible. We're having some staff changes and everything in our department. I think our plan is to try and get them out the Friday before each bar accepted. So get them to people on Friday or Monday.
And it doesn't give a lot of time. Is there anybody we could get earlier?
Yeah, we can try and get them to you Thursday, or, I mean, as soon as they're available, we'll get them out to you. No later than Thursday.
That would be great, thank you.
Okay, I will see everybody, we won't do a checkout because we're running late, so I will see everybody on Monday, October 4th at 4 p.m. Well, thank you, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
I was laughing at you.
This touch would like to add that
I'm gonna run it this I was really talking about something
Every time I see her people, I was down the hallway. And in the morning, her and Jerry and my friend went to breakfast station. They just like their mother had.